Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 25 of the Club Lorcana podcast. I am one of your hosts, Jeremy Bertrioni. With me, as always,
Syed.
And we got quite a bit to talk about. We just finished the holiday season. I like to sort of wrap up this year. This is going to be our last episode of the year with some wishes, some holiday wishes, things that we want to see coming into the next season, and also some of our goals, New Year's resolutions. Seems about appropriate for this time of year.
Cool.
But first, I think a lot of people come to our podcast to hear about that metagame.
Yeah.
So let's break it down. What is deck number one right now? Who is the main guy on the street?
I mean, Juan CCS has the most, recent great results, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Brendan DeCandio's Amber Steel Aggro is probably number one.
CCS is the Charlie's Collectible Show tournament that happens right here in Atlanta, Georgia. He usually gets to make it a 10K, but he advertises it as an 8K because he didn't want to oversell. That is Amber Steel Dwarfs.
Is that the name?
No, he calls it Diggy Diggy Hole.
Oh my God.
I mean, I'm just telling you, that's what he has it named as on Inkdex.
Okay, so we're going to call it Amber Steel Dwarfs?
Amber Steel Dwarfs?
Okay.
I mean, I just call it, because Dwarven...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could it be Amber Steel Dock?
Seven Dwarfs Mine is an important part of it. Dock is also important. I've been playing Dock in another pillar of the metagame. I've been playing a lot of Dock in Purple Steel.
Yep.
And honestly, guys, for the first time in forever, I'm excited about Lorcana because I'm winning nonstop with Purple Steel. I hated this game for the past few months. I could not buy a win, is how I felt. I guess I ended up winning quite a bit, but I felt like I couldn't buy a win. But now that I found Purple Steel, after Zach Bivens won the LCCCC with it.
That's so sad. You have to pick a deck that beat me.
Zach Bivens is cool.
Oh my God.
I've always said that. That's just true.
Yeah. No, I think he's a great player.
I'm a yellow steel guy, and Zach Bivens is cool. These are things that I always say on this podcast. Mm-hmm. So would you say that, Purple Steel versus Yellow Steel, who are you giving the edge to right now? Which one would you rather play?
And
why, I guess?
I would rather play Amber Steel just because I think it's a much better aggro deck. I think that it also has a better draw engine in Rapunzel. Mm-hmm. I think it just finishes the game better than Purple Steel. It has been close for me in the past. Again, I don't think I would play Zach Bivens' Purple Steel list. I mean, Zach did an interview right after, right? We do interviews after our LCCC matches, and Zach was like, I wouldn't take this list to the event. I think that, like, looking at the deck, I think that it has a lot of strengths. It's like one of those all-rounder decks. It has like it has a red-purple feel to it without the be prepared. So there's less bailout situations. So I feel like when you fall behind in the deck, it's hard to come back. Like, the way that you would come back is you have to have bodies on the floor that allow you to sing the couple of songs that are in the deck. And there's usually 5 or 6 songs, 4 strings, and either 1 or 2 along came zoos. Mm-hmm. And I think that when you're playing against another purple deck, it puts you in a really difficult situation because you have to have at least 3 bodies to get rid of the majority of the other opposing bodies, right? So I do think that the best way to play the deck is being as aggressive as possible.
Definitely, I agree.
But at the same time, I think that ends up being worse than what Amber Steel does because Daisy Duck is just such a power. Daisy Duck and Piglet are the fastest you can be doing it.
Yeah, I mean, you turn those two things sideways on turn 3 or whatever, and you're at 7, and Purple Steel basically can't get to 7 by turn 3 no matter what they do. I've been playing a few of the Maleficents on one, but those obviously are not the same as Daisy Duck. They don't live quite as long. So that's what we have on the aggressive end of the metagame. What are our more controlling options?
I mean, we got blue-red. We have red-purple. I mean, if you think about what has done well in the past, right, we can talk about the European, what do you call it, continentals.
Yep.
I mean, red purple did well. Blue red did not. Green purple did well, and I mean those two decks are decks that prey on blue red. So now the question is blue red now a bad deck, or can blue red adapt to the new, more aggressive circumstances? Right.
Is blue red the worst it's ever been? Yes.
I mean, blue red is pretty bad.
I like that. I just said more at 11, and I mean yes.
I mean, blue red will never be a totally bad deck. It is a really powerful deck that has the ability to win against pretty much anything. Mm-hmm. It's very consistent, and it's only gotten better as every set has come out. It just has a giant target on its forehead. So the question is, can blue red adapt to this new metagame, or will it just be phased out because everybody will continue to play the most aggressive version of its deck, of its color combination, right? Like, I think that Amber Steel in Europe was way more song heavy, but we have to question which version of Amber Steel we're playing, because one is good against blue red and one is bad.
How is green steel doing?
Green steel has fallen out of popularity. I would say when I'm playing Lorcanito, and I play against the top of the ladder, there are some insanely good Emerald Steel players sitting up there, and I always have really close matches against them, and so I think that it is secretly doing well,
right?
But it is a very high skill deck now. Like, I think that it was less skilled when Bucky was around, and then it has only gotten harder and harder to win with it, because if you make a mistake with that deck, then you just lose, and you lose in like such a brutal way, because you didn't take away one of their cards, and that card could be a board wipe. And so I think that deck is really good just in the hand of fewer pilots. I still think that I could navigate it to a win, and it's still in my choice of decks for Continentals.
All right. Interesting. I thought that by now you would have been pretty locked in. You know, we're looking at the coming week is the last one before Continentals.
I think that more information is going to continue to come out before Continentals, and I think that what we have to just always be is reactive, right? Whatever information gets presented to us when we get to Continentals that's affecting the players, that's what we're going to stay reactive to.
Okay. Yeah, you've always been, I just want our viewers to know this. Some people would be in basically fits if they weren't locked in a week before. I know DeCandio always locks in pretty early on in the process of choosing what deck to play. You never have. As long as I've known you, it's always been, you've been pretty live for whatever's going to happen. Pretty much, I think our philosophy has always been the same. If you show up to the tournament on Saturday playing Wednesday's deck, that's not as good as if you were playing Friday's deck. If you show up to the tournament on Saturday playing last week's deck, that's not as good as we're playing Saturday's deck. So we're always looking for Saturday's deck. Maybe Saturday's deck is what we had on Wednesday, but, you know, I don't know if it's more often than not, but every once in a while it's just not. And Friday night we learn what Saturday's deck is going to be.
It's very unlikely that I show up to a tournament and one of the dogs that I have in the race isn't the one that I end up playing. I think early in my competitive card game career, I went to tournaments and people would tell me a story about a deck.
Yeah.
And that story was like, this deck is so incredible. It destroys everything in its path. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm buying all into it. And now it's very rare that someone tells me that story and it's, first of all, it's almost never true. And usually I'm the person who tells that story and it ends up being true.
Right.
So that person has to have a level of credibility that has to be like very, very high. And so that's gotten just less and less. As I've gotten better, I've realized that it's very few people that can come up to me and I should feel that feeling of like, oh, what if they're right? You know, you can't just like accept every person's reality that comes up to you. If you do that, then you're gonna be just like lost at Subway.
That was me. DLC. Where was it?
Seattle.
100%. I was totally lost at Subway.
Yeah, being lost at Subway, too many options. What are the tomatoes, spinach or lettuce? Like, what am I doing at Subway?
Am I even? And then you get a bad sandwich.
Yeah, so you have to create like such a high pedestal for, and it's nothing against the people who haven't earned it yet. It's just you have a limited amount of time. You don't have time to test everything, and you just have to take the information that you have. Like if I get some information far enough out from the event that I have time to test it, I will. But usually I'm testing everything anyways.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you play a lot. I think you play more than is possible.
I really don't think so. If you look at my games on Lorcana, I'm nowhere near
like the top players playing.
Yeah, I don't think that high quantity of games is what you need.
They don't want us to mention Lorcana. We have to pretend that we're testing some other way.
No, we got to talk about it in the podcast.
In summary, the Lorcana metagame right now is a lot like the cast of Seinfeld. You have obviously, Amber Steele being like more like Elaine, and Purple Steel sort of being the George version of that, with the red purple Jerry like it's always been. And then you have your Kramer option, the red blue, if you want to get a little crazy and go a little bit bigger, larger than life.
Red blue, yep.
So the big question for people is if they want to be George, Elaine, Kramer, or Jerry.
No one's thinking about those characters.
What do you mean? That's how everybody talks about Lorcana. They're like, oh, usually I'm more of an Elaine. This week I'm going to play the Jerry deck.
I don't even get this, even though I've seen Seinfeld many times, even once with you.
Once with me, we used to live together, and I think I had like a 3 or 4 month stretch where I was really dedicated to getting my Jerry Seinfeld impression down, and I watched Seinfeld the whole time.
Yeah, every day.
Every day.
I think this is beginning of the pandemic.
But listen, when I do Seinfeld on stage, It kills.
I believe it.
I've only ever done it a couple times. I can improv. I used to do improv in Raleigh. I can improv a Seinfeld stand-up comedy set, and I do that as like a party trick or whatever on stage, and it just goes great.
I feel like the pain that I was caused by listening to it so often has now translated into joy for others.
Right. Why do they call them sleeves? Are cards arms? What are we putting in sleeves here, folks? They should be called pockets. They're card pockets, not sleeves. I wear sleeves on my shirt. I don't have a shirt of a deck. I could just do it. I could just go into Seinfeld bits, bro.
That's amazing. I'm
glad. You love it.
I'm glad you did it.
That's amazing. Let's transition to the next section. We have, which one do you want to do first? Goals or holiday wants? Totally up to you.
I think we should start off with wants because goals are more like, substantial.
Goals are more substantial. So for what we want this is obviously going to be Lorcana focused. I'll go ahead and get started. The things that I would like to see is one of the big stresses I had this year was trying to get a ticket for the events.
Yep.
I think that what I would want to see, and I can't really rationalize a reason for Ravensburger to do this, but I don't care about that right now. I'm just saying what I want. I would love to be able to qualify via either local league play or the store championships for the DLC, sort of get a ticket in reserve. You can still have tickets that are available to the general public, of course, but just like, a way to acknowledge like, hey, the players that do this all the time that are like really invested in this game, they get a maybe like 30 minutes before the event goes live, I get me and all the other high league scorers or whatever it is, get a way to get into the DLC. That way I have a way to secure my spot. I really think, hopefully Ravensburger goes a little bigger because, this was year one and it was a little bit of a risk, but now we know it's not a risk. The events sell out instantly. So hopefully they go a little bigger. We have a little more leeway. You don't just have to buy in the first minute. But even so, I would love to be able to qualify somehow for the DLCs. Yeah. That's like my number one want.
Yeah, I totally get that. I'm gonna piggyback off of that one. And I'm going to say, I hope that the seats go from 2,000 people to 5,000 people. Because one thing that I noticed was we'd be taking an Uber.
Mm-hmm.
to the event, and we're going to the event, and the Uber driver is like, "Can I come to this event?" And we're like, "No,
Nope.
you can't come to this event. This event is completely sold out." These are people that want to know about Lorcana and aren't getting an opportunity to find out what Lorcana is about. And so I want this event to be so big that all the like when this event happens, it kind of causes like a gravity shift.
Right.
It's like a planet. And people are like, I want to go. I want to see this Disney card game, because Disney already holds a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Now, if you have another way to interact with this Disney, like people really want to come just experience that. And it's happening in your hometown. That's even crazier. So what I noticed was we were the camp that like waited to get these tickets. We barely got in. Sometimes you didn't even get in, and
I didn't get in for Chicago. I didn't get in.
And he still came because we had never been to a card game tournament that like the day of you couldn't get a ticket.
I was so shocked, and I've told the story in the podcast before, but there was that moment where, their cap was 1024, and they like 970 were there because however many people didn't make the flight or whatever and dropped. So I was like, okay, so there's 50 spots. Like, let me play now. And then they were still like, no. I was like, dude, my brain is falling on the floor. Like, you're not going to let me play in the card tournament? That's my whole deal. As I play in the card tournaments.
Exactly. And I wanted to have enough spots that they actually just have open seats available. Like 4,000 people are going. Great. And now there's 1,000 people. So there's like 1,000 extra seats so that people can just like walk in and like join the experience, or at least be, in the hall.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So I think that's possible. And I think that, maybe it takes some cities off the list. Mm-hmm. But I think I'm okay with that. Like if it ends up being Disney cities, that covers East and West Coast.
Disney cities covers East and West Coast. Disney has huge convention centers.
They can house as many people as they want.
I was just in Orlando, Florida for the holidays. Didn't end up going to Disney. Ha ha ha. But that property is just insane.
Yeah.
And why not use it? Now, it is tough. I mean, this is just what we want. So we don't have to talk about the logistics. It is a little bit tricky.
No, I agree it's tricky. I just think that we actually don't know what is like the cap at which people say, I'm not going to this event.
Yeah, we have no idea. I mean, raise the cap. I think now take your risk for, 5,000 people events, and probably next year, I mean, it could be 10. We don't know. It sells out in a minute. What if the shop was open for 2 hours?
I feel like maybe this is just completely anecdotal, and the people around me are just like, I want to go to this event so bad. But it felt like every person I talked to was like, can I come?
No one can come to the event.
It's been sold out since you've even known this game existed.
It's not like, what's funny now is Lorcana this year, toward the end of it, people were asking me, how long have you been playing? But at the beginning, obviously, nobody would ever ask us that because obviously everyone here has been playing the whole time.
Yeah.
So I get to say like, the whole time. I never really could do that with Magic or any other game. I could just be like, I've been playing this since the very beginning. But Lorcana, I get to be like, I've just been playing
I think that's a huge advantage that this game has. A lot of people were like, I can never play Magic from the beginning.
Yeah, but if you didn't play Lorcana from the beginning, you could never play Lorcana from the beginning.
Yeah, I know, but it's way more enjoyable. You just get to watch a bunch of Disney movies.
Dude, you didn't think it was enjoyable learning about Urza and his brother Mishra as they grew up together and discovered the Might Stone and Weak Stone?
I don't know.
Became enemies?
I don't know. Remember when I told you that Kaladesh was a Magic set that was extremely not okay? And
they renamed it.
Exactly.
Great.
But this was like not that long ago. Was it 2019?
Yeah. Maybe even more. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was like, bro, how is this acceptable? But now that it hit the mainstream, they're forced to adapt. So it is what it is. And so what I'm saying is like Disney has like a fun, like when you're like, I don't know this character, it means you get to go watch a fun movie.
True.
In Magic, you get to learn about something that you you know that they eventually give up on because they're doing all these collaborations.
Yeah, they did give up on it. Nobody.
So why do you want to go learn about the lore when they don't even care about the lore?
I was the only one that cared about Mishra, I feel like.
You also really care about the lore here, right?
Yeah, I mean, where's Dumbo at? Who's the owl? There's an owl in the next set, Zan. You don't care about that, but I care about it, and we don't know what it is.
I thought the owl's from Winnie the Pooh.
Maybe, or it could be Archimedes, Merlin's owl.
That's true. I just feel like Archimedes has already gotten a lot of like time in the light.
Right, but that's like, yeah, they've been foreshadowing that he's going to be a big deal.
They haven't put the owl from Winnie the Pooh in, right?
He is. There's a card in set 6 that's the owl.
Okay, so first time.
Yeah.
It's still most likely Winnie the Pooh owl then.
There's also the Owls of Ga'Hoole, which I think was a Disney movie.
I did not watch this.
Anyway, let's move on. Second want for me. I was thinking that this game could use a judge program. I would like for my judges to be certified, so that I could levy complaints or whatever, all the benefits that come from having a judge program, complete with a judge academy, so that I know that my judges and hopefully levels, like a level 1 judge is somebody that passed the first exam, and the level like 3 or 4 judge would be the head judge of like the main event. I always enjoy having judges that I can trust to be qualified. It has been the case that the volunteers that I call over at DLCs in the past have been wonderful people, exceptionally polite.
Yep.
But when it comes to me versus them on who knows the rules better, I'm like an insane person about the rules anyway, so I win,
Yep.
And I have to go like, just go get the guy, I promise, and I end up winning the judge call. So I think a judge academy would go a long way for that. So that's my next want, is a judge program for Lorcana.
I'm gonna piggyback off that again, and I'm gonna say I want good pay for the judges. I think that these events have shown to be highly profitable, and I think that we actually don't know how much more profitable they can become, because I feel like they could raise the price, they could add more tickets. There's a lot of things that they can do to increase profitability. So I think that the judges want to do the work, even for the minimal profit that they've been seeing so far. I think that if we had good pay, then like the quality would only continue to increase, and the enthusiasm for judging these tournaments will go up, and I think it's a win-win for everybody. You know what I mean? Like, I think that it will benefit Lorcana tremendously, right? Because I think card games in the past have demonstrated how they don't exactly treat their judges well.
Right.
And I think that created, like when you don't have judges that don't get paid well, then it creates incentives. I'm not saying that this happens, but I'm saying it can happen. That it creates incentives for them to try to find value elsewhere in the game of Lorcana as a judge. And that can be a very dangerous, slippery slope. But if you have judges that are getting paid well, then there isn't room for that type of thought. You know what I mean? And you have an academy that's like, kind of like teaching the way of like, the Jedi, the judges. So.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of them came over from Magic the Gathering.
And Pokemon.
I think I'm a firm believer that if you want somebody to do a job, you have to agree that person should be able to do that job with security, dignity, and comfort. And that involves them being compensated fairly. Judges shouldn't have to pay to come be our judge, whether that's through travel expenses or hotel expenses. It can add up. They can be a little bit expensive, but I mean, they're selling out convention centers.
I agree. And I think that promos should not be a part of the whole situation.
Okay.
Promos should not compensate for money.
They do for our prizing, but not for judges.
Not for judges. The reason why is because they've already gotten away with, I love the promos. I love them. And I just think that, we shouldn't just every single place insert promos to compensate for money. Because I think it decreases the value. I think it also gives out the wrong message.
Sure.
Yeah. There's
great.
a professional part, and then there's the what the people are playing for.
Yes.
and the professional board gets paid real money.
They get paid money because they have to put on a uniform. That's a good like rule of thumb. It's like, does this person have to wear a uniform to do this? Oh, then we should pay them money. Does this person get to show up in their yellow hoodie? We should give them promo cards.
Yep. And eat cookies all day.
Eat cookies all day. Hey, shout out to Nathan for the blueberry cookies that we ate all day every DLC.
Oh, yeah. Those are fantastic.
You find them at Costco. I don't know. They're Belvita blueberry crisps. They're like airplane cookies, but with blueberry. And we ate them the whole time.
And they're vegan friendly.
It's important to vegan friendly for Nathan. Is there anything? So those were sort of, you piggybacked off of two of mine. Is there anything that you want to say? What would you like to see in the upcoming year? What is a want of Zan's for Lorcana?
I mean, a funny one is, good seating at the next Continentals.
Good seating, better seating at Continentals. Here's a way. I've been brainstorming ways that they could do it. They could have a linear series of numerical seats. So like the first table that you're going to number, you can number that table 1, and then you just keep going, just right down that path.
If they are going to do colors, I want that color to show up on Melee.
Color has to show up on Melee. We shouldn't do colors. I think the advantage of colors is
I don't
so
want
small.
colors either. I'm just saying that I dealt with colors, and if they do colors, then colors have to be on the pair. And there should always be pairings board, because you never know, like someone's device might have run out, right? Like when is it in the rules that you have to have a electronic device that connects to the internet?
Yeah, I might want to move to flip phone next year. So let's, get the pairings boards up.
Yeah.
There
should never be an event without paper pairings.
Sometimes it's fun to try to, get to the front of the paper pairing line.
Yeah, that's like usually not an issue in the US or like in NA, just because the convention centers are like have no Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
So it's usually we just have different struggles. Like I feel like in Europe they don't have struggles with food situation and Wi-Fi, and that's a struggle that we have.
Right, and then the implicit line there is because convention centers are trying to just like extort people way too. They're like, if there's a food truck outside, how are we gonna get $8 hot dogs sold? And it's just like, dude, you gotta
stop trying to sell us $8.
Quit trying to sell us this.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? If we provide Wi-Fi, how can we charge a venue $10,000 a day for Wi-Fi? Have you seen some of these Wi-Fi bills? It's like,
it's crazy.
Where does this Wi-Fi come from that it costs that much? And so, does that wrap up once?
Yep.
All right, let's move on to goals. Goals for the coming year, the year 2025. Mm-hmm. I'll get started. I want my goal, number one thing for me, qualify for a Continentals. It's insane. I feel so bad that I didn't get to play in as many as I wanted to. Top 32 in Dallas was the closest I got, and it's burning me up like a bean. I just can't believe it.
I think that now that you're having fun, it'll be easier to get there.
It's true. I started having fun again. I'm starting to fly. I feel like I'm playing Ness a little bit when I'm playing the deck I'm playing now.
That's good. I think that's important, right? Like I think that, yeah. I think different players interact with the game differently, and I think like for me, the main thing is, I'm using my brain to figure out what wins, not necessarily what I'm playing.
To clarify what I mean when I say I'm playing Ness, because Ness is my main in Smash, and when I play him, I really feel like I can just fly everywhere. I can get people right in the trap. I can really like use my skills. And so when I say I'm playing Ness, Zan knows that I mean that like I can fly around. I can use my skills. I like know what's going on, and I can, because a lot of the times I've gotten the right read. I know every card in my opponent's hand, and I'm like, I don't know. Even though I know what's gonna, I don't know what's gonna do. So with Purple Steel, I've been having fun because I got those skills. So yeah, it'll be great. I'm gonna qualify for Continentals. I'm gonna do it with an aggressive deck.
Nice. Yeah. All right. So I'll do my goal. My goal is to win Worlds. That's no surprise. I feel very lucky and blessed to have gotten qualified through winning Vegas. That was a really nice surprise. Very, very happy about it. And I hope that like it's in the cards that for me to win that tournament, because if it is, I will find the lines to do so.
I think you're the best player, so I guess you should win Worlds. But I mean, this is similar to like the shock that we had in Vegas. Is going for a win on one of these tournaments is like so different than going for played well. It's like almost impossible. But I guess with Lorcana, we can try. You can try to win.
Yeah, well, I mean, if it ends up being a best of 2 situation, then it might be a little difficult to.
Ravensburger, and you gotta drop this best of 2 stuff. Yeah. It's horrible. I've been playing lots of testing games somehow on my computer, and I win game 3s all the time, almost every time.
I mean, I'm gonna tell you right now, every single top 64 I had, if I made one mistake in the entire Swiss portion for those tournaments, I would not have made top 64.
Oh my gosh.
Like, I'm just saying, like, right now, I needed to make, if I made, like, like, it gives you no room for error. And that is something you cannot expect of new or an average player of Lorcana. And I don't want them to be put in a test where if they make one mistake, they don't get to make top 64. It's brutal. It is really, really tough. And so what the additional game actually does is it allows you to, it actually gives you some breathing room to make some mistakes and still win the match.
Right.
And that's what I actually think is better for everybody. Any person. Do I want to go to a tournament where I have to not make a single mistake in order to make top 6, not even win the tournament, to top 64? So like I can clearly recall my entire Vegas tournament. Mm-hmm. I made one mistake.
Yeah.
There's only one thing I would take back in that entire tournament, and it was on camera in the finals. Right?
It looked so bad. Everybody was like, ooh.
Yeah, and it was a mistake that was made on fatigue, right? And so that's like me playing 15 rounds or more. I don't even know how many rounds it is. But other people are going to be experiencing that fatigue earlier in the tournament. So if you end up experiencing that at the end of day 1, your entire tournament could just be on that mistake, right? And so like that, yeah, I mean, that's like I just want some breathing room so players can enjoy this beautiful game,
100%. Any other goals? I don't have a goal of playing more league play. What about you? A lot of people say I want to make more league play happen.
Like, I mean, I want to go back to wants. Want is I want a 2025 Disney Lorcana client.
Ooh, I would love to be able to play this game online in a sanctioned way.
I want to make content using it, right? Because I think that I miss playing games, posting them online, and like allowing people to learn from, like, it's also a learning experience for me when I post it, right? Because people will write like, hey, at 12:27, did you consider this line?
Yeah.
And I'll go back and I'll watch it and be like, what was I thinking then? And that is such a like awesome learning experience for me as well. And so it makes me a better player as well. It's not, as much as people would like to say it's like a one-way street, you're like always going back and like looking at what might be basic to you and like reevaluating it and looking at it from a different perspective makes you a stronger player.
Right.
Yeah. And it's kind of crazy. I like, even though there's like a narrative that people say like I'm the best player right now, I feel kind of far away from the best player I can be.
Ooh.
So I want to continue to improve. And I think that if I continue to improve, maybe I will feel like the best player in the future, but I really don't feel like I'm the best. If I don't feel like I'm the best I can possibly be, then dude, this game is infinitely deep.
Right. Here's another one for want. This is a fun one. What Disney characters do you want to see in Lorcana that aren't in yet? So we know we're getting Bolt. Bolt is banned from this conversation because we know we're getting Bolt.
Well, I want who's the Bugs Life guy?
Flick?
Yeah.
Or Hopper?
Yep, all of them.
Even Hopper's afraid of birds.
Yep.
That line was just so cool to me as a kid. Who was it that was voicing? It wasn't James Woods. Who did Hopper? It was somebody like super famous.
I don't know. I always visualize what the Batman butler. What's his name?
Michael Caine?
Yeah.
Michael Caine was not Hopper.
I know it wasn't, but that's what I imagine in my head.
He doesn't say any F-bombs.
Good stuff. Yeah, I want the Pixar stuff.
Yeah, so Pixar guys, Bugs Life, Toy Story.
Incredibles.
Ooh, Dash has Rush. Haha.
I mean, everybody's waiting for one character from that.
Syndrome.
No, the mom.
You're out of your mind. Elastigirl? Uh-oh.
Everybody cares only about one character in that show, in that movie.
No, I feel like you're just on a different side of the internet. I feel like everybody likes everybody in that show.
In that movie.
You know who it actually is?
Lightning McQueen.
Everyone cares about one character in The Incredibles, Edna Mode.
People do love it. Edna.
Edna's great. Lightning McQueen? Oh, we're only picking really fast characters. Like all these characters we're saying would be red. I'm like, Dash, Lightning McQueen. Just red characters.
I don't think... You think Lightning McQueen is going to be red?
First of all, he is red, which is a pretty big visual indicator.
But a red character on a red card kind of looks bad.
But they almost always only go on red cards.
Is this true?
Yeah, think about it. They even make them... Vanellope Von Sweets is driving a big red car on her red card.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, think about. Okay, here's a perfect example. What color is the queen from Snow White? Like main color of hers.
Blue.
She's like blue, purple, right? The big dress. But think of her one drop yellow card.
It looks great.
It looks great, but what color is it mainly?
Yellow.
It's totally yellow because they put it on a yellow card, so they were like, ooh, they put her on this crazy yellow background, all of that. So why would they go through all that effort? Because they wanted to make the yellow card have a lot of yellow on it. This is maybe not necessarily the best way, or not, I don't know, best. There's a couple different ways to design cards. You can also do like contrast. So there's the red one-drop Simba that has a lot of blue and yellow on it. That has a really primary color vibe, so it looks really good as a red card. You can also have a lot of like light whites and browns, like the one-drop Arthur Bird, the 2/3 one-drop.
Mm-hmm.
It's not equal. All this to just say...
I feel like this goes with what I'm saying. Is that the red card would look great on not a red... I mean, like, the red car would look great on not a red background.
Right, but a lot of the times what they do is they like match the background with the color of the card.
Yeah, but the yellow card looked like it having yellow around it is what made it that queen card pop so well.
I think the queen card looks insane. It looks so good.
Exactly. Yeah. So it worked exactly like. So I would rather see Lightning McQueen on Amber.
I want more anime cards. Give me the classic Disney characters I know and love in an anime art style.
Couldn't they do that for Baymax?
Give me an anime Baymax. Give me an anime. These are already halfway anime characters.
Yep.
All right. Anything else on goal? What about channel goals, subscriber goals? What are we trying to hit by the end of 2025? We're gonna have
at least 10K.
10K will be the biggest Lorcana podcast.
I don't know about that. I mean, channel goals, I think that they are a result of the content, and I think, the content will only improve the better tools we get from Disney, right? Like an online client is like the primary thing.
Online client blows up your channel so much. People would love to watch some of your games.
Yeah, I just really want the ability. Like, I mean, obviously, if you want to look at, set 1, 2, and 3 content, you can. It's mainly set 3 content of playing games. Like, you can watch that, and I like go through all my thought processes, and I think that's like extremely beneficial for me and for other players. I do think that it makes me a much better player when I do that. It's also an exercise for me,
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, then you have to sit here for 30 minutes and you have to verbalize why you're making every single play, even though I'm doing that in my head.
Right. It's hard because sometimes you're like, why did I do that? I did that so fast. I don't understand. Well, I have a system for plays in Lorcana where like I think of a series of faces and then I assign them all a number. So my number 1 is like a frowny face where the frown is like an upside down D. And then my number 4 is a happy face where it's a D. And so I think when I make a play, like, is this a 4 or is this like a 1 or like a 2 or a 3? And if it's a 1, I don't do it. And if it's a 4, I try to do it more often.
Also, what color is that associated with?
And so like the first goat that you ink in red purple, that's a 4. But then the second goat that you ink is like a 2. And then the third one's a 1. So you never ink that goat.
And what color is it?
Huh? Like Jerry Seinfeld?
No, what color is it? What color is it assigned?
What do you mean?
What color is the first blue goat assigned?
Green?
Oh, it's a green goat.
Right.
And then what about the second goat?
That's like it's like a yellow.
Okay.
And the third one's like a dark red. But I prefer
difficult.
4, 2, and 1. So whenever I'm making plays, I'm like, oh yeah, this play is such a 4,
Yeah, you keep saying numbers when we're playing together, and I'm like, what is this guy talking about?
Yeah.
I don't have a number system at all.
I'm developing a system to be like completely incomprehensible when I play Lorcana so that my opponents can't get a read on me. I'm constantly talking about 1s, 4s, and 3s. I always say the names of abilities. So like if I draw off a beast, I'm like, it's better this way. And they're like, what? And I'm like, it says that on this card. If I draw off a Diablo, circle far and wide. Okay. If I draw off a rabbit, hoppity hip. Right?
Yeah. Okay, here's a test for you.
Yeah.
All right. Maleficent 9-drop. What is its ability?
Dragonfire.
Wow. That's the easiest one to remember because it's actual card.
Yeah. Kill something, blow something up.
Cool.
So yeah, I guess my goal is to just make my system of playing Lorcana so obscure that nobody could ever follow it.
Cool.
All right. I mean, that's all that I had for today. I mean, it's the end of the year. Hope everybody had a great holiday season.
Yeah, I'm getting married January 3rd, so wish me luck.
Congratulations.
And then right after that, we're going to Disneyland.
Yay.
For NA Continentals and a mini honeymoon. I'm not, my fiance / almost my wife isn't allowing me to call it my honeymoon.
Why not?
Because that's not the actual.
Yeah, because you're going for continental, so you can't call it the honeymoon. Boo! What she doesn't believe in, multitasking. No, that'll be good. I am going to be your best man at the wedding.
I'm excited for that.
I've been preparing a speech. The speech is going to be a little more reserved and I just think that the crowd is not going to like certain types of funny. So it's mostly just going to be, there's going to be like one kind of funny hit up top that's like an anecdote about our experiences, but there's not going to be any disparagement of anybody, which is typical of best man speeches. There's a little bit of like, oh, he but I'm just not getting in that space. It's just not going to play well with the audience.
Yeah, culturally, this one he can only be all positive.
Yeah. I figured when I was going through different iterations of the speech in the past week and bouncing it off of my girlfriend Fiona, and we landed on like basically no jokes that have any amount of edge.
Yeah.
There's going to be one like funny story of a situation that we ended up in, which I'm basically going to say that we got stuck in the mud at the Grand Canyon. And that's going to be like amusing. No edge though.
Perfect.
Yeah, I know what unfortunately,
I love that stuff. It's great for like the bachelor trip, but
great
like
for the bachelor party, not
but
great
not for my
family wedding.
Not for my parents' friends.
100%, dude. I get it. One of the things about being comedians is you got to know when to punch and you got to know when to just.
I am excited though. I'm super excited.
I mean, you should be more excited for the wedding than my speech, maybe.
No, I'm excited for the speech.
I'm so excited for my speech. I'm keeping it under 20 minutes. I'm just kidding. I'm keeping it under 5 minutes.
Yep.
But yeah, so we're excited. Zan's getting married. Woo! And then his fiance, future wife, is going to be in here.
Yep.
In this house.
Yep. She's moving in.
She's going to sit right there.
No, she's not going to be around. There might be a cat.
Oh my God.
During the podcast.
I'm so excited. It's a cute cat. I like cats.
Yeah, you and Fiona have basically 2 cats.
2 cats. We've been raising a kitten. Anyway, we got to wrap up this podcast.
Yep. We're at the end. Jeremy, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at MoxJeremy, MoxJeremy. You can find me on Blue Sky at moxjeremy.bluesky.social. So great that we're all on Blue Sky now. I just recently reposted a giveaway by our friend Ryan, who was on this podcast 2 or 3 weeks ago. So go check that out and maybe win a fancy Dragonfire and Cusco promo. That'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, that's where we got the idea to do goals.
Goals. Yep.
Go check it out. And, thank you for being here. And we'll see you at the new year.
See ya.
Bye.